Okay, so your sex life can directly affect the happiness of your relationship, which
Agreed.
I feel like everyone kind of knew, but I guess the study is mainly focusing on how much sex or too little sex can do to your relationship. So the sweet spot, let's have a guess actually. How many times, don't look at this, how many times do you think you should have sex a week to have the happiest relationship possible?
3 to 5 times a week.
Wrong. Guess again.
Damn.
One more time.
Not daily.
Nope. Once a week. Once a week is the prime number for the amount of times you should have sex a week if you're in a happy relationship.
So wait, there's 7 days in the week.
Yes.
And they're saying that if you're in a relationship, you should pick one of these 7 days. So 1/7 of the time you should have sex.
Yes. And
measuring in days.
The reason for that is a bunch of different things.
Reason.
So most of the time, if you have sex too often, then your relationship will begin to rely on it, and it will become a task or a chore rather than something you enjoy.
Maybe.
So rather than having it more than once a week, if you have it once a week, it's something to look forward to. It's a good time to have one time, and then you kind of desire it the next week, and it's a continuous cycle.
So it's like you yearn for it.
Yes, exactly. It makes it something that is actually important to you and important to your relationship rather than a task or a chore or just something that happens.
I mean, all right. Okay, I guess.
I feel like this is different for you and I, though, because we're still pretty young, but most people that have been married with each other for a long period of time honestly have sex less than that. And that's horrible to say. And it's
long relationship, the longer the relationship, the briefer the lovemaking.
Yeah, and I guess part of it is because people just get in the habit of doing it because they feel like obligated to do it, which is never a good thing to feel when you're in a relationship.
Well, here's my thing
with
on relationships. I think that, and mind you, I'm not married, so maybe you could just take this as a grain of salt, but I feel as though if you live with somebody in a long-term relationship or committed relationship, you guys should really work on creating clear boundaries. Like, I'm not a big believer in the whole, like, we sleep in the same bed every night type of thing.
Really?
I think they should be set, like, you should have separate, like, obviously they're nice, you guys should sleep in the same bed if you want to, but you should both have your separate rooms and your separate spaces.
See, what I read that was kind of similar to that idea was the best living situation for two people to be living in the same place is to get the biggest bed possible, which I think is kind of the same idea of having two separate beds. If you have the biggest bed possible, you're not really sharing anything. Yeah. You could also get two separate blankets
I think it allows you to make a choice, right? Like it says, I'm really busy at work today. I don't want to, because then your sleeping becomes uncomfortable and the relationship becomes uncomfortable. Like if you're working late and your partner's a light sleeper, you're like, oh, I got to tiptoe in the room. If you had your own room, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, but how hard is that to balance that? When does work become so overwhelming that you fail to sleep in the same room at all anymore?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If going on your theory, which I don't know if I agree with, of having sex once a week.
Yeah.
I think this is the perfect situation. We'll be like, all right, Tuesdays, it's sex night. Right? So, we're sleeping in our separate beds, and on Tuesdays we come together, then on Wednesday we go back to our separate corners. I don't know, and I don't want people to think about, like, oh, Richard's saying we should live in separate corners. I'm saying you should have the choice to live in separate corners. And not even separate corners. The rooms can be next door to each other.
Honestly, I think every relationship is so different that it honestly depends on your personal values, the way you interact with your significant other, and everything depends on that. Honestly, it's hard to read an article like this and just say, this is what you have to do now.
Cater to your own needs is what we should say.